us in with an intention or a meditation?
I I
Okay.
think I could probably win it.
Okay.
When?
You just started.
Yeah. Whenever you feel, just take a moment and then feel what you need to call in, and then that's the meditation for all of us. But make it personal, and then it's for all of us.
So the intention for today, for me and for everyone, is that we may listen to our bodies and give them what they need and nourish our bodies and can be passionate and kind to ourselves and to others so that we kill and grow and take care of ourselves and each other.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. It's the COVID Freedom Sessions. Community boosting kicking things up today.
Listening to our body, honoring our body.
Yeah.
That means stop putting shit in it.
Yeah, if you love yourself, you wouldn't do that, really. Right? If you truly love yourself, you'd take care of your body and bodies of others. I think
we take care of ourselves, we're essentially taking care of each other.
We are, and it's just not about food, right? It's about thoughts as well.
So the diet of thoughts.
Yes, the nutrition, the other nutrition other than food, the emotions that we bring in and allow ourselves to have, or that we have in flow.
I'm loving what Dan is gonna bring to the table with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's. Yeah.
Yeah.
What sort of things do you think?
Well, in terms of stress.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of part of so today, the immunity boosting kick ups, it's kind of three parts and two kind of go hand in hand together. And that would be like the mind and the spirit. And so when you talk about stress, I think we talk about the mind and we talk about all the different ways that we stress our body. Right? We talk about, you got to look at wellness as like a wheel. So there's the physical, which we've talked a bit about in terms of nourishing our bodies, what we put into it that can either enhance health or take away from health. But then there's also the mental component. But the mental and spiritual go hand in hand. They almost overlap. And if we're not attending to all parts of this wellness wheel, we won't be optimally healthy or happy. So when it comes to stress can make us sick. And we need to remember that stress, whether it's real or perceived, stress has the same impact on the body. So whether it is we're running from danger or whether we are stressing out about a certain given situation, our body internalizes it the same way. And then our body does things like release stress hormones. It inhibits immunity. It actually suppresses the immune system. Our emotions become all out of whack. And when the emotions are all out of whack and we're stressed out, that suppresses immunity. And there's actually a positive correlation between positive emotional states and helping overcome disease. And so I think what the key message here is we need to learn to manage our stress so that our mind, body, and soul is in sync. And there's so many ways to do that,
Yeah, and the thing about stress, often it's triggered. Like there are these things that trigger you. Yeah. And create stress, but then there's also that whole weight of stress over time. So there's those those unplanned events or those pop-ups that happen that create stress. But then there's also, I guess, situations or lifestyles that you might be in that create stress. Would that be a good way to say it?
Yeah. I mean, anything can cause stress on the body. So I mean, we have to be able to realize, like, some people get road rage. Like, you get really aggravated when you're driving. For me, stresses are everything from going through my separation to my kids to trying to balance life of being a busy single mom, and then the pressure I put on myself. Sometimes the pressure I put on myself to succeed and to accomplish everything I need to do is too much. So we can't avoid stress. Stress is also how we manage it. But what do we do for our bodies? What are the tools we use to help reduce the amount of stress on our body? And that's usually what I work with clients with. You're going to face stress. So what do you do to manage your emotions, manage stress, manage your mind so that you can not get sick and so that you can function optimally?
What's your take on this, Phil?
Well, I agree. I agree with Dana about the stress response. And the stress response, what we perceive, even if we imagine it, there's still a stress response. We need a sympathetic stress, and we also need a parasympathetic stress. So there's the stress, and there's eustress, which is spelled EUSTRESS, and that's the beneficial stress. But we also need the stress that we need to know what stresses are going to keep. If we're noticing danger, right, that's a sympathetic stress. And then we've got the beneficial stress, which is the nourishment that we bring into our body, that helps us manage, what we're learning. So if I'm learning something very, very exciting, like guitar or music or sound, I delve into that all the way, which can create a stress, but it's a good stress because there's something beneficial and nourishing about that. So I think there's two sides of the coins that meet and talk to the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system, but there needs to be a balance of both. And we need to understand, and like you said, Chris, we need to understand what the triggers are and our environment, and then how do we manage that with thoughts and diet.
Yeah, the two things that come to me, at least from a mental health point of view, is don't take things personally. So don't be more stoic about things happening, that it's in flow. Life happens for us, not to us. And then, don't go right into a victim response on things. Like last night on the way to the meditation, I turned left across a road, and there was a cyclist going about 40 kilometers an hour on the sidewalk who suddenly appeared to take the right of way, going 40 kilometers on the sidewalk. And so I stopped, and he looked at me and said, "Come on, buddy," right? And I'm just thinking, wow, he was putting a lot of trust in that he could just go 40 kilometers on the sidewalk and then think he's going to claim the right of way coming out of a construction zone. So that was interesting. So I just thought about it. I'm like, yeah.
And as you're calling up, what do you notice in your body?
I just thought, wow, he's really pushing it on that one. he's like thinks he has the right of way, but I don't really care. I think I have the right of way, but I don't know. I'm not going to hit him, so I'm just going to stop. But then he lashes out, So it's interesting. I mean, for him to be going 40 kilometers on a sidewalk, there's already something happening, something going on with him. But what do you think, Dan?
What, in terms of reacting to people, and in terms
of? Yeah. The thing you had said was that a lot of people are overloaded, and then it creates a stress response. But I feel there's like a whole feeling of being overloaded in life in certain ways, including COVID itself and the fear that some people embody from that. So how do what are those things that people can actively do to manage out of that, or manage through it, or manage with it?
Yeah, well, there's so many things we can do, and I use several of them myself. It's funny, years ago, I didn't really look at myself as being a victim or being like poor me or woe is me. And doing a lot of internal work, getting guidance is one thing you can do. Getting guidance so that you can learn how to cope and manage the stress better. That's a big thing. But also so you can go from being a victim to being empowered. Because when you can cause a shift and saying, okay, things aren't happening to me, they're happening for me, and not poor me. Like, how can I make this stress? Like, there's some good stress and there's some good bad stress. So identify those stressors. Like, there's deadlines you have to meet, and that entices you. That's good stress because it gets you moving. It gets you motivated to do the work. And there's other stress where you allow yourself to be triggered by someone else. For example, you and the cyclist. You can choose, having a choice to react to something or not to react to something. There's tools like meditation. So it's very interesting. I was listening to Deepak Chopra once, and he was saying it's not about meditating for an hour once a week. It's making a practice of meditating, even if it's for 5 minutes a day, and going inward, being present, disconnecting from all the distractions and just allowing yourself to be. So there's meditation, and then journaling can go hand in hand. I do that regularly, but especially with the full moon, like with the event that you guys had last night. Phil, it was awesome, but I was journaling following the event, and there's certain things related to the moon that help you manifest bigger things. There's relaxation and rest, deep breathing, thought reframing, visualization. There's, self-worth work. There's transforming your inner dialogue. So how do you speak to yourself? Would you speak like that to your best friend, to your child? So if you wouldn't, then why do you speak to yourself that way? There's positive affirmations, positive self-talk, just shifting the internal dialogue. All these things can help us manage stress, reduce anxiety, boost mental performance, improve health in various areas of health, reduce burnout, even pain reduction. I've been meditating a lot to help with my neck that's spazzing and among other things. And it just, there's so many things we can do, and all these stress management techniques help benefit us in so many ways.
Thanks for that. And I know that dancing is on your list as well.
I love dancing.
Yes, exactly. And I know that music is on the list too. And that's why one of the reasons why I'm going to call on Phil now to give us some relaxing music.
Relaxing, eh?
Yeah.
We all need to calm down.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't know if you saw the moon last night, but it was unbelievable.
It was amazing.
Like Hollywood could not make a moon like that.
No.
It was like the real thing.
It was the real thing. It was beautiful. Like
it was organic, non-GMO moon last night.
Yeah, exactly. Relaxing, eh? Okay. Is hitting, and I am going to call up the lyrics to this song because I want to make sure I get them all right here.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's a song by Christina Aguilera. It's one of my favorite songs.
It's a new song. We haven't heard this one yet.
Yeah, I practiced it a little while ago. So I hope this translates across here.
Sure.
Let's do this here. Okay, there we go. Move up here. So this song is actually on my playlist when I work out, and when it comes on, that's when I know I'm done my workout, and then I warm down.
Every day is so wonderful, and suddenly it's hard to breathe. And now and then I get insecure from all the pain. I'm so ashamed. I am beautiful, no matter what they say. Words can bring me down. I am beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can bring me down. Don't you bring me down today. To all your friends, you're delirious, but so consumed in all you're doing. Trying hard to fill the emptiness. The piece is gone, left the puzzle undone. Is that the way it is? You are beautiful, no matter what they say. Words can bring you down. Oh no. You are beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can bring you down. So don't you bring me down today. No matter what we do, no matter what we say, we're the song inside the tune, full of beautiful mistakes. And everywhere we go, the sun will always shine. Tomorrow we wake up on the other side. 'Cause we are beautiful, no matter what they say. Words can bring us down. You are beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can bring you down. So don't you bring me down today.
It's so relevant, right? So I listen to that song, especially when I'm working out and I gotta work out and I gotta exercise. And lately it's been like squeezing all the shit emotions out, right? So when I'm working out, I'm pushing, and then the tears come, and the cries come, and then I get it out of my system. And I'm realizing when I'm doing that, there's no charge for those stupid thoughts. So I'm releasing the charge, and those inner thoughts that are trying to bring me down, they can't take hold, because they're not there anymore. That charge, or whatever that is stored in my body, it's really, really gone. So I know, like, Christina Aguilera's career, and I've been following it. I used to follow it religiously back in the day, and what she went through, and this song that she came out with, those songs, because she was getting a lot of criticism from the media and all of that kind of stuff. So she
retaliated with this amazing song, and it really spoke to me. So every time I hear it, especially when I've done the hardcore workout and I'm bringing myself back in and grounding, there's those tears of joy. It's like, yeah, I am beautiful, and you are beautiful too, and we are all beautiful. And what is this noise that I've been listening to? It's not allowed in anymore. Like, get out. And that includes people that bring that as well. And that's like, I feel the sadness and grief when I have to create a boundary around that, because I'm detangling myself from that entanglement and creating space for me. So it's a beautiful thing, as the song says.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
As you say, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And we are beautiful. Like, we don't need the crap. We really don't.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's also beautiful crap, right?
It is that in those messy places, we get to see a lot of things and organize it, but then it's up to us to cut through it.
Yeah.
Right. There's always going to be shit. Right. Like, I eat food and I poo every day. So there's going to be, but that's the body's dynamic of, like, we absorb what we need and then we flush out what we don't. And then anything that we're holding on to, in my practice, in my Chinese medicine practice, there was, situations where people were holding on to things emotionally and they were physically constipated, like literally holding on to shit.
Yeah, a good way to do that, and a good practice is typically, if you can let things go in about, if you can get it down to 5 seconds or less, that's amazing.
5-second rule.
Right? The 5-second rule. Sometimes people say start with 30 seconds. See if you can just let that go in 30 seconds.
So 5 seconds.
And if you can catch it, like Danna was saying earlier, you can just choose whether or not to react to it. That's ideal, right, Danna?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, just choose whether you want to react. Why even give it 5 seconds? You're saying 0 seconds. You're like at 1 second. React or not react.
Yeah. It can be hard. It can be hard, and it takes a lot of work, but we have choices. We have so many choices. And that's something I've tried to master, because there's some people, there's some conversations, there's some things that will trigger us. And I used to go in downward spirals with, a specific someone or with a certain situation. And it used to prevent me from living a full life or being productive. And I've just made a choice that this is the way things are with said person, and you have to create your own boundaries, and you have to, it's almost like you have to be like Wonder Woman, and she has those like cuffs, and it's like, do. So when stuff starts coming at you, you got to get your superpower, and you got to try and repel it and push it away, or like the big sword, like was that Thor has the sword, there's a big shield. It's almost like you need to energetically protect yourself. And that's taken a lot of work. And that has taken work through a spiritual practice, right? Your spiritual. Yeah. And that's like kind of another component. Like, the mind is one and the spiritual is another. They go hand in hand. But there's definitely a spiritual component and spiritual growth. And that's kind of a kick up, is going deeper into your spiritual side. And kind of having, like, I read this article by through the Royal College of Psychiatrists, and there was this doctor, Maya Spencer. She actually was diving into what is spirituality, and she basically says it's the recognition of a feeling or sense or a belief that there is something greater than myself, something more to being human than the sensory experience. And that the greater whole of which we are part of is a cosmic or divine in nature. And when you start to look at it in that way, you kind of, it helps one deal with the ego and manage, the ego, but it allows us to really believe in something greater. And so when you dive into your spiritual side and you go deeper into spirituality, it kind of adds another layer to kick ups, because as we know, meditation benefits very positively. Meditation typically goes hand in hand with the spiritual side, but people are spiritually different. Some people go into prayer and they walk in peace, and that's the way people's form of meditation. Some people go pray, meditation. For me, meditation, I find community. finding like-minded who are there to grow and evolve in consciousness. Also, something else that's been really useful for me, which I learned through my spiritual guide, Vanessa Ferrero, and I think you know her as well, with the Wealthy Goddess movement. I started doing a forgiveness. And you see a lot of people think forgiveness has to do with forgiving someone, dealing with someone else, but forgiveness has to do with forgiving yourself and your others so you can be set free. And that allows you to grow and evolve spiritually. And it's a very, it's just a really great practice. So there's so many things we can do to enhance, to grow spiritually, but that's just definitely another kick up. So what are you doing? I always want to ask people, what are you doing to nourish your spirit, your spiritual life? You know, and that's something people don't know.
I like what you say, with especially with community, right? We're a part of the Tomorrow Today community, and they're doing a master class this weekend, which I'm going to jump all over Saturday and Sunday to obviously strengthen, work, connect, and grow with like-minded people. It's a brilliant place to be, and you know, increase. I want to strengthen my resilience and strengthen my capacity to go through what's coming, and even in the present day. So I like exactly what you're saying. The spiritual practice of what am I doing, and what am I taking on, and what do I do for myself, and the forgiveness practice. And it's so important. It's not really about forgiving the other person. It's about forgiving myself. Self-forgiveness. Mm-hmm. I have to do that first, and then I can go and forgive other people. But if I just forgive myself, make amends to myself, and have self-compassion, that's where it starts. That's where the spiritual practice starts.
That's beautiful.
And not necessarily go chasing after the person that I want to forgive, because. I've gone through the addictions and all of those kinds of things, and the 12 steps go. You got to make amends. Make amends to other people, and I'm like, no, I think I have to make amends to myself. Like what I've done to myself. If I heal myself, I will stop reacting in the way that I have been reacting. And my reaction has been my drug of choice, or my behaviors, or whatever has ensued upon that. But the self-healing is the most important, because then when I engage in the relationships that I want to engage in, or disengage from the relationships I want to, because I've healed myself and I don't no longer allow that in my life, those things start to happen naturally. Yeah. So practicing or having a spiritual practice like Danna is saying is going to help me interact with my internal world, which then will help me interact with my external world.
And I like what you said about it's like it adds a new layer. Mm-hmm. It's like a new corner in the room you can put yourself in and look at things from, right? It's like a new corner, or like you said, a new layer. It's the thing that came up for me was that some people talk about it as protecting your energy, right? That's how sometimes people talk about it, but it's really reflection, or looking into your own reflection, or within yourself. And the thing I thought of when you were speaking, Phil, was that it's really a high level of respect for yourself, and realizing that you're there in a way, showing like a great respect for yourself that maybe you didn't show in the past. And you have to show it to yourself first before you can show it to others in a way. Because you truly then you understand it. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for that second one. I know we have one more to go. Yeah. Let's go to a song though. There must be another Christina. Do you want to do another Christina song?
I don't know if I know any other ones. That's my favorite song from her.
Okay. Well, what about something else on your playlist?
We're
going through the Phil playlist.
Is the light, love, and trust.
Oh, that one! I love that one.
That one. I think that speaks to exactly what we're talking about.
Go for it.
And once we start to respect ourselves, we create those boundaries, and there's a certain level of grief when we let go. That's part and parcel of letting go. There's going to be a bit of sadness, but then that creates the space for the joy, the internal joy. This is a song I wrote to myself.
I feel the sadness in my bones. I can't leave the feeling all alone. It's despair of losing you. In the wake of my fire, I destroyed everything I knew. And still I must go on, find something new to build my life upon. Light, love, and trust. A new beginnings, it's a must. A heart, fire, and love. We come now from above.
Now this part's the hard part, because it's in the relationships that we attract that we get to learn about ourselves. And some of those are really fucking difficult, excuse my language.
It's in each other we learn about ourselves, so we can grow in love. It can be hard, but one thing I know is it takes a lot of heart. Still I must go on and build something new to live my life upon. Light, love, and trust. A new beginnings, it's a must. A heart, fire, and love. We come now from above. I loved you then, but now I see it's got to be this way. We could try again, but not in those ways of hypocrisy. Still I must go on and find someone new to build my life upon. Light, love, and trust. A new beginnings, it's a must. Heart, fire, and love. We come now from above. I'm sorry that it went down this way. It didn't mean to do you away. I feel we learned a lot along the way, but for now we have to part our ways. But still I must go on and build something new to live my life upon. Light, love, and trust. A new beginnings, it's a must. A heart, fire, and love. We go now from above.
There it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for letting me share that. It goes through all the stages, right? Just like, yeah, no. I'm coming on my own, and my life is all about light, love, and trust. And when I say come, we come from above. In our biology, we want to come from the cortex. meaning that everything is online, and our higher consciousness inside of our physiology is online, and that's where we're coming from, top down, rather than from the brain stem up, which is usually like a fight or flight response. So when we are in that, I call it the parachute, the cortex, the prefrontal cortex, we come now from above, and we connect to the pineal gland, the crown chakra, which is our universal insight, and we get to see past the illusion that I've been involved in for a long time.
Do you think? I want to ask you. Do you think it's an illusion of yourself?
Yeah, that's the delusion.
Or is it just a misillusion of yourself? Like you don't see your true self from that perspective? What drives you to get there?
Well, I think
Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll just jump in here like real quick, and then
Yeah.
Dan, I would definitely want to hear your perspective here. When we grow up, we are essentially trained by our parents or our parental figure, whoever that may be. So our identity is based on our relationship with mother and father. And then once we leave the nest, we become, we act out what we've learned, and then we then have the chance to discern what is okay and what is not okay for us. So in those moments, from birth, we are kind of deluded anyway. It's part of the human condition, and it's up to us to break free of that once we know that, oh, this isn't working anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's our identity, which is from our parents, but many things. What's your take on that, Danna?
It's funny. We actually talked about this at the Tomorrow Today virtual fest a couple weeks ago. And it's funny, Phil, you said you're going to be attending the one this weekend. There was a workshop by Kaveh Kavusi, and he was talking about various things, but one of them was these ideas of what we have about ourselves and who we are. Are they our own, or are they someone else's? And what I had realized was my whole life, I had created this idea in my head about what love was and what relationships should be like. And I thought I had my own sense of who I was. And it wasn't until a few years ago when I started feeling lost within myself and in my marriage, and I started to go within and see why do I feel this way? What do I think? And what I realized is I had identified love in a way that seemed familiar to me. And that was, my parents were very strict and controlling, and don't do this and don't do that, and I'm going to tell you what to do. So for me, when I looked for partners, I looked for love in a very similar way. And it wasn't until I started to do more spiritual work that I started thinking, that's not actually what I feel love is. Like, I feel love should be like this. And so then I started to kind of create my own explanation, my own definition of what love was to me. And it caused a lot of shifts and a lot of changes. But it was very interesting for me, having to evolve from you're born, and then you're basically part of a certain environment, and you kind of mold and learn ways to cope and deal in that environment, and then you're let out on your own, and you still have these old habits and tendencies. And as you grow and evolve as a person, you start to kind of figure out what is right for you, defined by you. Some people figure it out earlier, some people figure it later. But I do truly believe the wellness wheel, the mental and spiritual components paired with the physical, those all contribute to this evolution of the person, and really help. The spiritual side really helps that evolve. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, but I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we started out with identity,
Mm-hmm.
and that led you to talk about how you've perceived love, or how you've attached to certain things that you believe were part of love based on past events and learnings and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But how did that change your own identity? Because identity is more about how you think about yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you started talking about things that were external to you and talking about how you identify with things. But how do you identify to yourself? What's the link? Like, what's our current awareness? Is that our consciousness, or our awareness is our current state of how we think of those things? Is that our identity? I'm not sure.
I think with me, what I did a lot of work with one of my kind of life coaches, connecting to the heart, what I realized is I started to figure out myself and my identity by reconnecting to my and figuring what it is that my heart needs, and working on self-worth and self-esteem. And I mean, you kind of already create an identity for yourself. Like, was always into fitness and wellness, and movement's always been a big part of my life. That's part of my identity. And
Yeah.
kind of positive and optimistic has become more part of my identity. But also, I don't know. It's such an we probably talk about.
I'm writing identity down as a future topic, because one of the, I'm going to give it to you in a sec, Phil. But the thing is, the thing that I'm wrestling with, and when the way you just defined identity there, it's almost like, what's your personal brand? It's like, what's your identity or your personal brand, right? And in fact, in a branding process, there's a whole step called identity, actually, in that branding, in that formal branding process, which is very interesting. So, and brand, of course, or your identity is what you're known for. It might be what's called your brand promise. Like, what do you want to be known for? And so I've been wrestling with that a little bit in a conscious fashion, in that I'm aware of it. Is that, I need to get a new car sometime, because my boys are starting to drive next year and they need a car. I'd rather give them my car and I get a new car. And so I'm looking at the different cars, and I was driving past an old friend's house, and he's got the Range Rover out there, and he's got like the S5 Audi and stuff. And I'm just thinking, do I want to be known for that? Or do I want to be known for taking that money and getting more machines, or giving it to charity, or giving it to someone who's really going to benefit for that? And then do I want to do like a Keanu Reeves, who really he's Keanu Reeves, but he does a whole bunch of stuff nobody knows about, right? Because he just wants to do it, because he knows about it himself. It's not about other people knowing that he did it, or that he has this or that. So that's sort of, I'm not really fully wrestling with it, but it's an interesting space to be in and to sit with and sort of understand it, and how it reflects back at you, and really what's important. So Phil has been like listening so well, and I know he's ready. He's just like, he knows the answer, or an answer.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, I don't know the
There's
answer.
no answer?
There is no answer, right? We can relate, through my journey. I can relate identity to ego, and the ego is like the interface with the three-dimensional world, right? We need to relate, and we need to relate in this dimension. So the ego and the identity, I'm a musician, right? I play music, and I love to be called a musician, but is that my true identity? Is that truly who I am as a spiritual being?
Yes, it is, Phil.
So it's one aspect, but the music, the musician part is just a translation, right? It's a translation or an interpretation of what's inside of me, what's really, really inside of me, right? So the more and more I hone my craft, or my crafts, because I got more than one, the better I am at interpreting what is actually inside of me, and channeling, and being able to give the information that I'm receiving purely, without influence or manipulation, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to get something. I'm not trying to get something out of this. All I want to do is tap into myself and then share.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful acknowledgement. Thank you for that. That you're continually working on it and crafting yourself in a way.
And the better I am at interpreting what's inside of me, and that's like really getting to know myself. It's not what my dad told me I am, or what my mother said, or my ex-girlfriend in high school said, or other people's opinions, or we get into this comparison game of the Keanu Reeves dilemma, or the guy that has the Saudi whatever that dilemma, right? It doesn't really matter. It's like I want to do things that are going to make me okay and do things for myself that are okay, so that I can interpret and provide the information that I'm receiving from the universe, and then be able to share that. So if I need a great space to be in, and I feel like there's a space that I need to be, like the television studio yesterday, that space was amazing.
That was very comfortable.
That was very comfortable, and it was like we could go in there and we could create something. So Hugh, the owner of the station, has brilliantly interpreted what's inside of him to create a space that we could all gather, especially in these times. And it's things like that. So, but is that his identity? You know, that's something that is inside of him. But when you get to know him inside the space, we I recognize that there's all kinds of different pockets or different corners in the space that he's built that we can create, and we can give the message out. So is it
it is him.
Individual.
That space is him.
It is. It's a part of him. Is it an individual identity, or is it a collective identity that we all connect with?
Interesting.
Collective consciousness. If we're part of the one, what is the big ID? Say the big it, or the big identity, and then the individual identity, and then how do we connect? How do we connect as one, and then work as a well-oiled unit?
Exactly.
Without sounding too dirty.
There we go. So, the last word to Danna on this.
I think our idea of identity it's not solid. I think our identity evolves as we grow, and it can change. And I think as we embrace change and embrace people, we have to understand that they morph and our identity does too. And that's kind of special, because I don't think we have to be kind of like, what is your identity? I think this is who I am. You figure, who am I? Or maybe never figure it out. It's kind of this constant journey for who am I? Kind of a bit of an idea, but you have to allow yourself to be free to evolve and grow and move and flow. And I think that's my.
Well, beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for the last mini-series and sessions of kick-ins, kick-outs, and kick-ups. Really appreciate you sharing with us.
Maja, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's been amazing.
Definitely. And thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone who's watching online and on the replay and live. And we really appreciate you being here and having awakenings with us. And for the fire and the light in our heart and our souls, we wish you well for the next week until we meet again. Come together next week on the COVID Freedom Sessions. And all the best. Take care. Bye.
Hopefully